Good evening. We recognize that the city of Winkler is situated on Treaty 1 land, the home of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, and Dene peoples in the homeland of the Métis Nation. We respect the treaties that have been made on these territories. We acknowledge that harms and mistakes have happened in the past, but we dedicate ourselves to a future based on mutual respect of all peoples, including Indigenous communities, in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration, moving forward to a harmonious, prosperous future together. On that note, I'll call this meeting to order and ask for a motion to adopt the agenda.
Peter?
Second.
Andrew?
Andrew got it. Do we need any additions to the agenda? I believe we have a couple of in-camera items. Jody?
That is correct.
Okay. Anything else? All in favor? That is carried. I will be it resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting of May 23rd, 2023 be adopted. Mover.
Marvin?
Second.
Michael?
Anything in those minutes that need to be explained? All in favor? And we're carried. Moving then into correspondence, we have a number of pieces there. We have a response from the South Central Regional Library with regard to our request to create policy around sexually explicit materials. The letter is attached. We have a newsletter from Pembina Counseling Center, Winkler Stanley Economic Development Corporation shareholder letter with the meeting that's coming up. Municipal Relations Board of Revision, adding a date to your calendar. Make sure you keep that as a placeholder. Hopefully we don't need it. And lastly, Winkler Heritage Society Spring Newsletter. Any comments or questions on any of that correspondence? Okay, we will continue then to finance. Be it resolved that accounts payable in the amount of $1,525,146.19 as approved by the Finance Committee be approved for payment. Mover.
Andrew?
Second.
Don Friesen?
As always, you see attached where those checks went. Anybody have any questions?
At Hardy's there, was that for mosquitoes? Mosquito fogging or?
It wouldn't have been mosquito
That would
fogging.
have
I don't
been
believe.
probably for herbicides,
Yeah,
ditch
Oh.
spraying.
Oh, okay.
Weed
Oh,
control.
the chemical.
we can do that again.
And
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Jody is nodding his head to
That
that.
is what it was.
Thank you.
okay, perfect.
Only ditches, though. That's all we can spray, right?
No, no.
No,
Parks?
Parks?
We've been in parks.
Sports fields.
There was a sign at the Ball
Boulevards.
Diamonds on Saturday
Beautiful.
that they were doing some spraying or had done some spraying.
Beautiful.
Is
When did
done
that
already,
change?
yeah,
Yeah.
first application.
We're a little behind,
Okay.
but glad we're going again. It's gonna take a few years to catch up.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Any further thoughts? All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the Finance Committee minutes for the May 23rd, 2023 meeting be adopted. Mover?
Don Friesen?
Second.
Andrew?
You see those minutes attached. Is there anything there that we should be aware of or that we should pay attention to? Not seeing any. All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the financial report for April 2023 be received for information. Mover.
Andrew?
Second.
Peter?
The report is attached. David has joined us in case we have any questions, I bet. Is there anything, David, that we should be particularly aware of?
No, actually.
And actually, if, David, I'm sorry, if you're going to speak, I'll have to ask you to come to the mic. We do, as you know, we record it.
Camera on?
It is.
No,
It's your moment, David.
it's good. Yeah, exactly. It's good. No surprises. I highlighted a few notes in
Saw
yellow,
that.
but and that will be adjusted too. On the last page, you can see taxes have been paid to 99%. You might ask, how comes that 99% of our taxes are being paid? Well, we did upload for 2023 in May, so next month you will see that the majority of the taxes will be unpaid.
Okay.
Till August end, but yeah, it's looking good so far.
Excellent. Thank you. I really appreciate as well the report that you present here in a way that the layman can understand it and look at it, and then notes on variances. It's very much appreciated because it makes it a whole bunch easier to follow. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, question on taxes. There's a number of people that pay on tip or whatever it is, the payment plan. Will that be reflected, like the amount paid already next month, or yeah? So there won't be 99% unpaid. It will be whoever's hasn't paid at all.
That is correct. So if people prepay on their taxes, when we upload the batch from the province, we apply the prepayments to the outstanding taxes. So yeah, right from the start, X amount of, I don't know what percentage it is, but are being paid right away, yeah.
Excellent.
Just a follow-up question on that. Do you know roughly what percentage of people or taxes, let's say, probably residential at least, get paid on a monthly basis compared to waiting till the end of the year?
I can get you that information if you like, but I don't have it in my head now.
No, I'm just wondering how many people do it. So.
Yeah.
Anything else? All in favor? We're carried. Be it resolved that the Winkler Fire Department report for May 2023 be received for information. Mover?
Don Fair?
Second.
Michael?
Report is attached. Don, is there anything particular we should pay attention to or be aware of?
Just looking at the highlights, I've been just amazed at how many sirens have been going in the last month. And it seems always there's something happening. And when you look at the stats for the month of May, we're down from about 5 calls from last year. So we're still lower than last year, which is still a good trend.
Absolutely.
To carry through.
But it is certainly worth mentioning, as you say, when you hear the sirens as often as we do,
Yes.
and to see that overall, year-to-date, even, we're still down,
Right.
which is good to see. Questions? All in favor? And we're carried. Be it resolved that the Planning Committee minutes for the May 11th, 2023 meeting be adopted. Mover?
Don Reason.
Second.
Peter?
Okay. You see it attached. Don, is there anything that should be highlighted that we should be aware of?
Well, the AMM resolutions are kind of neat. The
Agreed.
GST trying to
That's a good thing.
get some more GST back, or lowering that threshold at 450, and now 450 is, you know, well, it's not affordable housing, but it's, you hit 450 very quickly.
Yeah.
And the other one I like is the land transfer tax. That one, the government makes a ton of money on. It was really
Yes.
never geared to be a revenue stream, but now it is. And so they, you know, hopefully maybe at least for first-time buyers, give them a break.
Exactly.
You know, because, you know, between CMHC fees, lawyer fees, you know, land transfer fees, it
It's a
adds
big
up.
number.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, those would be the two highlights, you know, whether, how far they get up AMM's ladder, but whatever, at least we'll try.
We don't know and we won't get anything that we don't ask for.
Yeah.
So, any questions? All in favor? Carried. That moves us to delegations and hearings. Be it resolved that this regular meeting of council recess for the purpose of holding public hearings. Mover?
Don Fair?
Second?
Marvin?
All in favor? Carried. Jody?
So we have a number of public hearings today, and just a quick reminder, if you're here to speak to one of the public hearings, we'd ask you come up to the mic, state your name and address, and then you can speak to the matter. So, yeah, I'll just get started with the first one. This is variance application 2023-009. This is in order to construct an addition. It's in the R1 zone, and it's to reduce the required rear yard from 25 to 15 feet. This is at 1340 Willow Ridge Place. Applicant is Artico Builders on behalf of owners Elaine Gunther and Verna Gunther. And our office has not received any objections to this application.
Thank you, Jody. Is there anyone here to speak to this? Not seeing any. Council, any comments? You'll see our notes there, of course, the application and the documents.
Nope.
Are we ready to close the hearing? Be it resolved that the public hearing for variation number VA 2023-009 be closed. Mover.
Marvin?
Second.
Andrew?
Questions? All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that council approve variance number VA 2023-009. Mover.
Peter?
Second.
Don Fair?
Questions? All in favor? Carried. Jody.
Another variance application, 2023-007, in order to reduce the required rear yard setback from 25 feet to 13.4 feet and the front yard setback from 25 feet to 17 feet. This is in order to construct a single-unit dwelling with a rear yard sheltered deck in the residential lower density, again, R1 zone. This is at 1378 Willow Ridge Place. Applicants and owners are Ken and Glenda Hillebrandt. And again, we haven't received any objections to this application.
Thank you. Any comments to that, Ken or Glenda? Okay.
No plan to make it smaller? Just giving you one more chance.
Yes.
Council will note, in terms of what's there, some additional pieces from our staff who's been approached, who's been advertised to. Any further thoughts or questions? Be it resolved, the public hearing for variance number VA 2023-007 be closed. Mover.
Andrew?
Andrew. Second.
Michael?
Questions? All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that council approve variance number VA 2023-007. Mover.
Marvin?
Marvin got it. Don Fair got the second. Questions? All in favor? Carried. I think there is a requirement, though, that you have to stay for the rest of the meeting and miss out on that beautiful evening. Either way, you're welcome to stick around, not necessary if you're not interested. Jody, go ahead.
Final variance application for today, 2023-008, in order to construct a sunroom addition to a single-unit dwelling, again in the R1 zone. And the variance is required to reduce the minimum rear yard setback from 25 to 14 feet. This is at 214 Cottonwood Bay. Applicant and owner is Nettie Wall. No objections received by our office on this application.
Thank you, Jody. Anybody here to speak to this? Any comments or questions from council?
I just noticed that the original building is 3 feet, whatever, had 3 feet room, so there's not much room left.
Hmm?
Okay, that takes us to, be it resolved, we close the hearing for VA 2023-008. Mover,
Peter?
second.
Andrew?
All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that we approve variation VA 2023-008. Mover,
Don Fair?
second.
Marvin?
Reason.
Don Friesen got it. Questions? All in favor? Carried. That would take us to local improvement bylaw 2303-23.
Yeah, so this is a public hearing for the bylaw that is required to take out the debenture for the expansion of the existing water treatment facility as a local improvement. And so this is a first reading that puts it on the floor. And so we would open it up to anyone who has comments or questions about this bylaw.
Anybody here to speak to it? Not seeing any. Council, any thoughts or questions?
Just that rate posted as a maximum rate again, right?
That's right, and that's something that the province requires us to do for, essentially, I would say like as a safety net in case of what might happen to rates. But for certain, that's not a negotiated rate that we go with.
Right.
This closes the public hearing, but the first reading typically would come prior to that. Is that right, Jody, or am I mistaken?
I think we did, David, did we have first reading on here? I think that is the next thing, right?
Would we typically have the public hearing before that, or does the first reading not give us the public hearing? Like that allows us to advertise and then have the,
I believe you close the public hearing and then you have first reading.
Yeah, like it's different than some of the things on the planning side.
okay, so that's
So
where
the
my
finance
confusion comes
works a
from.
little bit differently, under a
Excellent.
different act.
I appreciate that explanation. I was a tiny bit confused. Be it resolved that public hearing for local improvement bylaw 2303-23 be closed. Mover?
Andrew?
Second?
Michael?
Questions? All in favor? Carried. And that then takes us to, be it resolved that bylaw number 2303-23, being a bylaw to authorize local improvement plan number 42 for the construction of the water treatment facility be read a first time and submitted to the municipal board for approval. Mover?
Peter?
Second?
Don't
Don.
agree? You good?
Don Fair got it?
Take your pick.
And therein is the piece. Normally, our public hearing would happen after this. In this situation, we submit to the municipal board before second and third reading.
Yes.
Thank you for that clarity.
Interesting.
Any further questions of council? As already mentioned, those are maximums that you see there. All in favor? And we are carried. Be it resolved that public hearings be adjourned and regular council reconvene. Mover?
Michael?
Second.
Don, fair?
All in favor? Carried. That takes us to our other business and an opportunity for our Pembina Valley Local Immigration Partnership presentation by Kevin Dreger. And
It's actually by Elaine.
well, I was going to say, you don't look at all like Kevin.
You know, I'm sorry, but surprise. I'll bring the new news here. I'm Elaine. I'm the coordinator for the Pembina Valley Local Immigration Partnership, and Kevin's our new staff. He's my communications guy, and he's doing a really great job because you know
Excellent.
who he is, and
Exactly.
you know me. So obviously he's doing something right. I just want to thank you, Mayor, councillors, staff, and community members for inviting us here this evening. We appreciate the opportunity to connect with you to help bring more awareness to the work that's being done on behalf of newcomers and community partners in the city of Winkler. I do want to thank you for your land acknowledgement that you presented. We also always recognize the fact that we work, live, and operate on Treaty 1 territory. And that is, although we work with cultures, we never want to forget where we come from and how we got here. So the main reason that we're here today is to provide some background and information to help provide clarity, answer questions, and understand the benefit that PVLIP, that's our short acronym, brings to you and the community. For what I get asked almost every time I go somewhere, and my colleagues across the country will say the same thing, is the inevitable question is, what do you do? And sometimes the best way to answer that is to tell you what we don't do. So with an acronym like a LIP, there's some very unusual assumptions. We have nothing to do with cosmetic surgery. We also have nothing to do with immigration directly. And we also do not provide one-on-one services to newcomers. But what we do focus on is listening to community members, community leaders, and members like yourselves to identify what the impact of immigration has been in our communities. And we hear from leaders, employers, and municipal guides like yourself, as well as newcomer voices who have lived their experience, and they tell us what could be done to do welcome better. So our funding comes through IRCC, Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, and they have a model, or a motto, that immigration, sorry, this is slide 4, I believe.
Is this the one?
Yeah, that one.
Here we go.
Yeah. They view immigration as a two-way street. And that basically means that not only do we benefit through economic development and growth by adding immigration to our communities and workplaces, but we also look closely at how we can support newcomers so they will stay long-term in our region. To be successful with immigration, we need this two-way street. And this approach is how a LIP, or LIPs across Canada, work together and are part of this successful exchange of information between funders, community leaders, and newcomers. The catchment area that we work in, just thought I'd give you this little graph, and most of you are familiar with this. It doesn't need a lot of explanation. The red stars kind of show the areas of our region that we have representation on our councils or through our newcomer voices. And on a larger scale, the names of the municipalities on the next slide kind of give you that outline. We are recognized as one of the larger LIPs in Canada. We have 15 municipalities. Most LIPs are only one. So they will be a one community or one area that they are working in. As you can imagine, it's a challenge trying to represent a regional area and understand voices and needs in multiple levels of communities. But that's the task we have, and we're happy to do it. So as an overview, one of the basic roles, or the main roles, that the government wants from us in our funding is that we are expected to identify the needs and gaps throughout the region as it relates to immigration. And through our research that we conduct, we can help show that impact of immigration and identify ways that the government may be able to focus on these needs that we can show them, other than the bigger ones that we all have, whether it's housing or transportation. But even in those bigger needs, we can show through our research the demographics can benefit from their input if they will take an ear to listen. And I'm going to ask Kevin to address the next part.
So I'm Kevin Dridger, and I grew up in Winkler, and after I graduated university, I moved to the States and ended up living in the States for 30 years, and then moved back to Winkler last fall. So
Welcome back.
thank you. The change in demographics of this community and of this area in those 30 years continue to astound me. So I want to talk a little bit about demographics. So and sort of some of the population changes. So if you look at on the left, this is for Manitoba Census District 3, the Canadian-born population has increased by 20% in those 20 years, whereas the foreign-born population has increased by 125%. And the mother tongue graph is an important one to notice as well. While nationally, the average where their mother tongue is not one of our national languages, the national average is around 13%. In the Pembina Valley, it's 33%, and in Winkler, it's 41%. Wow. Now, some of that is we think of like the newcomers, but it's also recognizes that Low German was the first language of many of our residents, and it's also a reminder that family stories of immigration are very familiar to a lot of us, not just the people who just arrived now, but many of us don't have to go back too far to hear the stories of our own immigration here. And So we gather this census data, we pay attention to the census data to see what it's telling us about our communities, but we also gather data by listening. We visit a lot with newcomers, visiting, hearing the stories of newcomers, hearing their concerns, meeting with our partnership council, like Michael representing the council here, business leaders, community leaders, and other nonprofit leaders in the community to hear what their experiences are. So we get both the numbers data as well as the lived experience. And from that we notice, what are some of the gaps that we start noticing in services, in how communities are welcoming newcomers. And so we start assessing, what are some of these gaps, and then we move towards addressing how can these issues be addressed. But it's really important for us to remind you that we do not do this work alone. We're not just a little silo. Our mandate and our model is to work in collaboration and in work collectively. We can't do any of this work on our own. We need the involvement of others. We need the involvement for community change to happen. The community must entirely be involved. And now I'll pass it back to.
So on our main council, our regional partnership council, we have the following municipal leaders present on our discussions. We host these meetings 4 times a year. One of our other mandates is that we have to engage municipal, provincial, and federal government voices at our conversations and in our strategic planning. Not all of the current council members or municipalities, however, are active or familiar with immigration as well as Winkler is, but they are very interested to see the success and to understand what has been done in a positive way that they could maybe consider as they look into succession planning for their communities. Overall, we have 25 partners. These are the community partners currently on our council from a variety of communities and regions. And as well, there's a newcomer voices. So these partners generally represent an organization who has worked directly with newcomers or are interested to learn from others experiencing working with a multicultural workplace. Collaboration with municipal and community partners, including direct settlement services, has enabled us to work together to create more welcoming and inclusive communities. The next slide is just focusing on how our council works, the LIP Council and the various partners around it. The efforts that we bring to the table are considered indirect, but what we do is partner with them to collaborate and then create maybe a resource or a project that we can give back to them, and they can use it as a direct impact in their community or their organization. And the cycle that we go through, the process, I guess cycle sounds negative, but process is positive, this is the model that we follow. And now after 6 years, we're just starting our 6th year implementing this in our communities. This is the work and the format that we follow. And as we continue to evolve and develop, we've been able to use this approach to work together, combining the multiple voices from the Partnership Council, immigrant advisors, employers, and community service agencies to identify how we can do welcome better. And you may have seen or heard a little bit in the spring. We can go on to show you the example of what we've done in a big project that was just launched this spring in February, and we call it the Connecting Cultures and Communities Guiding Toolkit. So we wanted it to be evident that this was focused on newcomers and on understanding cultures better. And like Kevin and you all are familiar, we have our Low German cultures, we have Indigenous cultures, we have our Francophone cultures in the region that we represent, and we want it to be inclusive of all those experiences. The dream for this project started 5 years ago when I first started meeting with leaders in the region to ask them that question. What do you see yourself doing to help newcomers feel welcome in your community? And it was sort of a pause and a thoughtful response where most said, I don't really know what that means, but I would do it if I knew how. And so this is a resource that gives you the tools, it gives you links, it gives you video series, and it's enabling employers or community members, even newcomers and the general public, to get a better understanding of what a newcomer experiences, gives them a sense of what do I do if I'm an employer, how do I engage newcomers in the workplace, there's content about that, and there's more than I can tell you tonight. It's also bilingual in English and French, and it's all digitally accessible through our website. So the basic reason we're here today is really to foster knowledge sharing, to let you know that we are here as a way to help provide clarity on the role that we have. We are separate from, but connected to Regional Connections, who does the direct services. We are kind of a strong partner with them and work side by side, but we are the indirect. So I can take the stuff off the desk of them and go into the communities and help promote them, but also send people back to them who need their services. As we work with the layers of government and community partners to improve newcomer experiences, so that ultimately we want them to stay here permanently or long term. The other reason we want to is encourage you to participate in our workshop series, which is available about the content of our toolkit information, or if you know of it, you can share it with others. Bring it back to your organization, your workplace, or other leaders in your network, so that they could have an opportunity to understand this better. And the third reason really is to know that we are here to represent the challenges and successes immigration brings to communities, so that together we can do welcome better and to improve a sense of belonging for all of our newcomer families coming into our town. So I thank you for this opportunity. I would love to continue partnering with the City of Winkler, as we've had Michael and former Karina on our council, and it's been a great partnership, and we continue to look forward to keeping communication open and able to share our experiences with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elaine. Any questions of her in terms of what we see? Michael, anything that you'd like to add?
No, I was gonna comment, Kevin, we got through the agenda quick, and yeah, you didn't bring a sermon.
We need to run our meetings like this.
So, yeah, thank you for your time, your presentation, and yeah, having me on board.
We do have some
Excellent.
presents for you, so if
Oh, my.
you can
Nice.
pass it for you guys for later.
Sure, yeah, we'll pass it out. Thank you.
Thank you again for your presentation. Highly informative. I had the opportunity to attend the so-called annual meeting that you had, and it was lots and lots of fun to be able to see some of those videos and how different experiences are for different people. It was very informative and a good learning experience for both my wife and myself. So we immensely enjoyed the opportunity to attend. Thank you. Okay, we are then to questions from media or public relevant to this meeting of council. We've got nothing online, nothing here. I would then say that we will move to our in-camera session. I will thank everyone for attending this evening and wish you a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome to Winkler, Ken, and Glenda. Be it resolved that the regular meeting of council recess for an in-camera discussion regarding personnel matters. Mover?
Andrew?
Second.
Don Friesen.
Don Friesen, all in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the in-camera session be adjourned and the regular council meeting reconvene. Mover?
Peter?
Second, Don Fair. All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that this regular meeting of council be adjourned. Mover?
Marvin.
Second,
Michael?
Michael. All in favor?